Thanks for joining us here at 8 o'clock. I'm Drew Carney.
And I'm Lawrence Gafidi. We heard from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth during the 6 o'clock hour. He would not put a timeline on the conflict, but said it'll last as long as it takes for the U.S. to prevail.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change, and the world is better off for it.
This is a joint war. The U.S. and Israel are working together to attack Iran. The Pentagon said the U.S. launched thousands of strikes, hitting thousands of targets over the last 3 days. But now we're learning more about a friendly fire incident in Kuwait in which 3 American aircraft were shot down. There are images of these planes falling from the sky on fire there. The Pentagon says that 3 American planes were shot down accidentally by a Kuwaiti air defense system.
When lawmakers return to Congress tomorrow, they'll get a briefing about this from the Pentagon. We've already heard some lawmakers say this weekend's military action is illegal and that President Trump should wait on a vote from Congress before launching any more strikes.
There's no indication that Iran had reconstituted its nuclear program. There's no indication that Iran was prepared to strike the United States preemptively or to strike any of our interests in the region. And there certainly is no justification for a regime change war.
The president told NBC News in a phone interview he decided to act because Iran was unwilling to say they would not have a nuclear weapon following weeks of negotiations. He also says since the strikes, Iran is now, quote, willing to negotiate.
It is 8:01 and we are taking a live look outside from Coors Field over downtown Denver. Any jacket that you wear out the door today, you're going to be able to get rid of that thing by lunchtime.
Now, I know changes are coming to the forecast, Katie, but we have to get through today. Today could be a record setter.
It could be, yeah. We're looking at low 70s in Denver across the eastern plains. Mostly cloudy skies this morning. It's cool, and yeah, you'll probably want to tie that jacket or sweatshirt around your waist as we get into this afternoon, with highs in the 70s across the plains and even really mild in the mountains. Sunshine peeking through downtown Winter Park. Skiers and boarders are saying, hey, it's early March, and we are talking temperatures in the 50s for a lot of our mountain towns. But right now, it is still cool outside, 45 degrees. Winds are calm, humidity sitting at 50%. No advisories to tell you about for today. Winds relatively calm, and the clouds will give way to some peaks of sunshine later on today. We have seen some gustier conditions up over Loveland and Berthoud Pass this morning, but no advisories to tell you about on this Monday, March 2nd. 10 o'clock will already be at 59 degrees, low 70s. Stick with us through 3 p.m. Clearing skies, and then later on this evening, overnight lows will stay above freezing to start the day tomorrow. We are bracing for some changes, though, in the weather department. Our next system set to roll in, bringing in more northern mountain snowfall. This will be light to moderate, but a few inches of accumulation possible throughout the day tomorrow. Up into Fort Collins, Greeley, downtown Denver, some wet weather will be possible. We're looking at the potential for some rain across the plains. Details on the snow totals we're expecting to see as well still to come. Brianna?
Katie, thank you so much. Let's get you out the door with a live look. 8:03 is your time, taking a live look from I-70 and Pena Boulevard. For anyone heading to Denver International Airport or leaving the airport, you should not come across any issues. Right now, we are still crash-free for your Monday morning. I do want to switch things over to our main maps and get to your drive times. So 225 heading northbound to I-70, we're seeing slowdowns. Same story for those taking 270, as well as westbound 76, just after 88th Avenue. Now, if you're in the North Glen area taking southbound or northbound I-25, no issues to report there. An overall 10-minute drive. Fort Collins and that Greeley commute, so both directions of I-25 and then both directions of Highway 85, you are still in the clear and still crash-free.
Thank you very much. The CU football program dealing with the unexpected loss of one of its players this morning after quarterback Dominique Ponder died in a crash over the weekend.
9 News reporter Jaden Knowles is live on the CU campus where Ponder would have started spring practice today. Jaden?
Yeah, that's right. You know, CU starts that spring practice today, but there is some sadness in the air this morning following the tragic death of quarterback Dominique Ponder. If you take a look at your screen there, you can see state troopers say the crash happened around 3 a.m. Sunday morning on Baseline Road near Newland Court in Boulder County. Investigators say Ponder was driving a 2023 Tesla Model 3 when he lost control on the curve. Now, the vehicle struck a guardrail and an electrical pole, rolled over, and caught fire. He died at the scene and no one else was in the car. Trooper says speed may have been a factor in the crash and the investigation remains ongoing. Ponder was in his sophomore season with the Colorado Buffaloes, appearing in 2 games during the 2025 season. He transferred to Colorado from Bethune-Cookman University in his home state of Florida and redshirted his first season with the Buffs. Head coach Deion Sanders shared an emotional message on social media Sunday, calling Ponder one of my favorites and adding that he was loved, respected, and a born leader. Athletic Director Fernando Lovo said the entire CU athletic family is devastated and praised Ponder's passion, leadership, and toughness. Now, the athletic department says counseling resources are being made available to student athletes and staff. Now, we expect to hear from players later on today because, like I mentioned, that practice does begin around 9:15 this morning. Live at Folsom Field, Jaden Knowles, 9 News.
All right, thank you, Jaden. Meanwhile, investigators with Denver police are treating a death early Sunday morning as a homicide. Officers responded to the report of an assault just after 2 a.m. in the area near Kennedy Dog Park. Police say an adult man was taken to the hospital where he later died. Anyone with information is asked to call Metro Denver Crime Stoppers.
Cameras on I-25 between Berthoud and Meade are now tracking your speed. CDOT says the speed enforcement cameras are going to take pictures of cars that are going faster than the speed limit. It's 65 miles per hour right now in the construction zone there. Warnings will be issued for at least 30 days before fines start on April 2nd. Penalties will carry a fine of $75.
Denver City Council is set to vote on a controversial proposal that would keep ICE officers from wearing masks in the city. The bill would prohibit law enforcement from concealing their identity when interrogating, detaining, or arresting anyone in the city or county of Denver. The ordinance would apply to federal immigration agents, but Homeland Security already said they're not going to comply with this rule. The Denver Police Union pointed out again that they don't work with ICE and said they don't like the idea of being tapped to try and enforce this rule. City Council will also vote on a bill that would require quarterly fund reporting to the council by the city's Department of Finance. The city continues to deal with a $200 million budget deficit. City Council meets again tonight at 5 o'clock.
Members of the Denver City Council are urging Denver Parks and Recreation to reconsider a new pool rental policy after contracts with private swim teams were canceled in December. Parks officials say rental fees were not fully covering costs and that the department is developing a new model to avoid subsidizing private use while protecting public access. The change affected private swim teams like the Denver Tritons, a competitive youth team. It also affected the Denver Squid. That's a 30-year-old LGBTQ plus swim team that lost its weekday practice space at a city recreation center.
We've actually had members cancel their memberships. They're like, well, if I'm only going to be able to swim once a week, I'm not going to pay a monthly membership rate, and that's totally fair.
This week, the agency has announced that they'll revisit the policy and plans to form a stakeholder group, but any revised policy would require city council approval. While the department works on drafting a new rental model, Denver Squid still doesn't have a steady pool to practice in during the week and is asking for an interim solution. For decades now, the town of Hudson relied on ambulance services from Intermountain Health. Last year, voters on the Eastern Plains supported a levy that would allow Hudson Fire to staff its own ambulances.
So we know the first one went into service back in November. The second one hit streets today. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch covering this for us. So there's going to be a push-in ceremony today, Janelle, where they're physically pushing this ambulance where it belongs.
Good morning. Yeah, that's right. The first ambulance went into service in Hudson back in November, just like you said. Since then, there have been times when multiple ambulances were needed across the district at the same time, meaning mutual aid had to be requested. This levy allowed the department to purchase 2 ambulances. The second ambulance is coming into service now because the department has enough paramedics staffed and trained. Hudson Fire says there have been 340 calls for service, 158 patient transports, and 58 overlapping incidents since November. The department says calling for assistance from Intermountain Health or Brighton can add 5 to 10 minutes to response times. The fire marshal says when a patient needs transport to Children's Hospital in Aurora, an ambulance can get taken out of service for up to an hour.
If they have to transport for a critical trauma patient or a pediatric patient all the way to the university, that could be an additional 45 minutes to an hour that unit's out of service. So having that second ambulance in district will definitely help cover our citizens during those times.
So this ambulance will be stationed in Lock Buoy and is already in service as of 10 minutes ago. And like said, the department is hosting a push-in ceremony at 11 a.m. to celebrate the new development. Live in Denver, Janelle Finch, 9 News.